Music is written on a staff, and a staff is this series of 5 lines. And you can see I have 2 staves here. First one is the regular size staff, which you'll normally see, and then below I have an enlarged staff. And we count these lines going from the bottom to the top, just like you're climbing a ladder. So this bottom one would be the first line, or line 1. Next one is line 2, or the second line. Middle one is line 3, or the third line. The next one is line 4, the fourth line. And the top one is line 5, or the fifth line. And the reason this is important is because music is made up of more than one note. So if I was doing an exercise with you and I asked you to look at the note, well, which note on the notes that I just put up there do I want you to look at? So I use this as a frame of reference. I want you to look at the note on the first line, I mean this note. I want you to look at the note on the fifth line, I mean this note. Also, you'll notice that you can see the line going through the note. That's what we mean by on the line. Imagine that you drew the staff on the ground in chalk and you were holding a rock or the note in your hand, and I told you to put that rock or the note on the line. You would place it there so that it looked like the line was going through it from above. What it does not mean is this. If I move this note to look like this, you might think it's kind of sitting or resting on the line. That's not what's meant in music. It means the line is going through it. And the other part is the shape of the note doesn't matter. So you can see that this note, the head of the note, the circle part of the note, is hollow, so you can see the line going through it. There are all different shapes of notes. You can see now the note is filled in, but the line is still going through it. There's also notes without stems, still on the first line, the line is going through it. There are notes with the heads, the stem, and the flag. And also, one of the things that I could do is sometimes you may see notes that are connected. So let's say it looks like this. The head of the note is what matters. So this is a one note, it's on the first line. This is a separate note, it's on the third line. Now, one of the easy ways to do this is say you're in the car somewhere and somebody asks you where this note is or which note you're talking about, and you don't have a staff in front of you. Good thing is you always have a cheat sheet with you. So right here, if you turn your hand so that your palm is facing you and your pinky is parallel with the floor, well, you have 5 fingers. So your pinky is line 1, your ring finger is line 2, your middle finger would be line 3, your index finger would be line 4, and your thumb would be line 5. This isn't school. There's no cheating or anything. This is just educational. So if you need to use something else, that's fine. You're not getting graded on this. But I do want to do some practicing with this, and it's very easy. So let me move this over to get to the practice page and make sure that you can view it. All right. So what it's asking us to do here is which note, or where is this note at? What line is this note placed at? So let me get to my text. And if we look at this very first one, well, there are several ways we could do this. I mean, we could just count. We know it goes from the bottom to the top. So this is on the first line. So let me type that in, first line. Or you could say line 1, it doesn't really matter. Then we get to this next one. We can do it a couple of ways. I mean, you can use your hand, you can use your head. You can count from the bottom to the top. If this is line 1 and this is one line away, this is line 2. Or you can use your hand to count. So this is this line 2 or the second line. Then let's keep going. So we could do same thing. If this is the second line and it's one more up, this is the third line. Or we can count from the bottom up. 1, 2, 3. Third line. And I think you can see where I'm going with this. So let's go to the next one. Well, we can do 1, 2, 3, 4. Or if we could say this is the third line and this is one line up, we know this is the fourth line or line 4. And the last one, several ways. I mean, same thing. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you could say this is the fourth line, this is the fifth line. And there's only 5 lines, and this is the top line, and we count them from the bottom to the top. So there's your fifth line. Now, if we go down to the second row, it's not in order like this one. You can also, same thing though, you can use this as a frame of reference. I can say, was line 1, 2, 3, or I can just look up here and go, oh, this is the one that's in the middle, same one, so it's the third line. And the next one, this is pretty easy. It's right there. I can just count. This is the first line, or I can look right up here, and it's the same, so I know that it's the first line. Oops. And the next one, I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or I can look up here at this top row and see that this top note is the same as this one. So this is the fifth line. Having trouble clicking on the text that doesn't want me to stay there. There we go. Fifth line, we said. Then, a couple ways we can do this one. We can always count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or if you look right above it, it's the same one, fourth line. Or you can go backwards. If this is the fifth line, and we go backwards, then this must be the fourth line. And the only other one we haven't really covered right here, same thing. 1, 2, second line. Or we can look right here and compare it. Say it's the second line. And down here now, it's asking us to place the note on the line. And I'm going to use this whole note, which is just the circle note, because it's just easiest to see, and we're not really going to be doing anything else. And I'm going to leave it highlighted like this for now, because I want to know where I put the note is in the right place. So it's asking me to put it on the first line. Well, it's on the first line, and we can see the line going through it. We can also see from right up here, this is the first line. So we got this note is easy, it's correct. Let's go to the next one. I'm going to place my note just starting right here on the third line. And I'm going to go up. I know this is the first line for several reasons, up here and right next to it. And if I go up like that, you said earlier in the video, no, this doesn't mean on the line. It's not resting on the line or sitting on the line. The line means you're going through it. So this is line 1, and then the line is going through it again. Line 2, the line is not going through it. The line is going through it for the third time. So 1, 2, 3. And you can look up here to correct yourself. You can look up here to correct yourself. Same thing. Next note, next one says it wants you to put the note on the fifth line. Well, I can do this several ways, and I can start placing the note now. I know this is the first line. I can count 1, just the lines, 2, 3, 4, 5, or I know it's the top line. So I'm just going to move this note up until I see that top line, the fifth line, going through it. Now, even if I wanted to, just for these last two, I'm not going to count from the bottom because I can do that in my head. You know, this is the first line, and this is the second line. And then for the last one here, this is the first line, second line, third line, fourth line. Oh, my note disappeared. Fourth line. And it's in the space, so I'm going to move it up to the fourth line, move this over so that you can see it. And that's it.